Oh, messaging Larry. Seriously. Hey, Larry. Is up. It is cold. It is 2 days after I posted that last video. When I finished filming it, it was 70 degrees out. We got, what, 5-6 inches of snow yesterday, so welcome to Maryland. Anyway, we're picking up where we left off. If you're curious, we have started doing some Bondo work on these guys. So you'll see more about those fender flares in the very near future. But more importantly, since it's cold, it's fitting that we work on some cooling stuff. And I happen to get a bunch of stuff from Speedway Motors. So let's take a minute, unbox some. Oh wait, hold on. I got another dumb thing. That's right. In addition to this stuff from Speedway Motors, I got one of these things. And I don't think you're a YouTuber on the internet without the pointer finger thingy. So that's too meta. Anyway, I don't know how to use this, but hopefully I know how to use these. Let's open them up and see what we've got. All right, let's start small to big. I already know what's in these. I haven't opened them yet, but I mean, at least I think I know what's in these. So let's open these up. Got everything here from Speedway. You'll see why in a minute. Speedway is not a sponsor. No one, in fact, is a sponsor. But it would be cool if they were, but they're not. But they sent us some stickers, so stickers are fun. But most importantly, what's in here are these. These are 2 fan relays, so you can probably take a guess at what we're about to get into. So let's see what's in the next box. Ow, I hit my head. So here is box number 2. Let's see what we got in box number 2. All right, we've got more Speedway stickers. Again, not a sponsor, but you know, it might help hold things on later. We've got 2 things in this box. They are identical things. So we move this one out of the way. I know the anticipation's killing you. All right, let's take a look at what we got. We have an electric fan, obviously fan relay kit. Now we have an electric fan. We actually have 2 of these. These are, I believe, 11-inch fans. Let's see, hold on. It's like 11. These are probably 11-inch fans. So I've got 2 11-inch fans from Speedway, which means there's something in here that goes with all this stuff. Oh, actually, some of the stuff in, oh, look at that. All sorts of mounting options. That's nice. What is this? This is 12-inch. Okay, so 12-inch S-blade fan, Speedway. There it is. All right, last box. What could it be? I don't know how to open this. I'm not sure they... Oh, we're getting there. It's certainly taped up pretty well. I know. The anticipation is killing me too. Let's open this up. Yeah, they did a good job packaging this up. So what we have here is an aluminum shroud built for those fans, and this is designed to fit the exact radiator I have. So that's why I got all of this stuff from Speedway. I have a 31-inch Speedway Motors radiator. This is the 31-inch Speedway Motors fan shroud with dual fans. It's got these cool little rubber flaps that you put in, and we'll see that in a bit. That'll let air through. We'll mount our fans to this. We'll mount this to the radiator, and we'll be good to go. Now, real fast, let me show you what we had before. It may be a little dusty, but oh, look, I'm using it. This is the fan that I was running before. This is a Flexolite 3000 CFM fan. It worked great. It has a temperature probe. This would go right into the radiator, so you didn't even need anything to control it. In fact, if I spin it around, you can see that's where the electronics hooked up. Has a controller for making it hotter or colder. Great fan, but as you can tell, the shroud here does not cover the whole radiator. So what was happening is this side was radiator that wasn't getting air pulled through it, and this side was radiator that wasn't getting air pulled through it. It wasn't the best efficient setup. With this over top, you see what I'm talking about. These sides are all exposed radiator. Those sides are all exposed radiator where air wasn't getting pulled into the fan, okay? And that's important because that's what keeps everything cool. Let me get this out of the way. So now what I have is full coverage on the radiator. So it's going to cover the entire surface of the radiator. It's sealed off on the sides here, and air is forced to come through these holes where the fans are, or these holes, there and there, which get these little flapper doodles installed. I'm probably so annoying with this thing. So it comes through these holes with these flapper doodles installed. And the idea behind this is when the car is at rest, air has to be pulled through these little flaps will stay closed. But when you're going at a high rate of speed and maybe there's more air coming through the front of the car, it needs a place to go, these will all open up and let that air through. In reality, I don't know how much that's going to benefit our application, but it's cool, it's nice to have. But really, we're going to have two fans. Together, these flow 3,000 CFM, 1,500 a piece. So it flows as much as the last fan, but again, it's going to be pulling from the entire area of the radiator. Now, the one thing this doesn't have is a standalone temperature probe, meaning that we're going to need something to control the fan. So that's why we have the relay kit, the Holley ECU, over there. I'm really abusing this. The Holley ECU in the car is now going to control both of these fans, and we're going to do them individually. So we're going to have this one come on at like, I don't know, maybe 180, and then this one come on at 200 or something. I'll figure that out. And we'll program it all. We'll get it all wired up. But now we're going to have fans tied into the ECU, so the computer will be turning them on, turning them off. We'll still be able to use the switch on the dash in there to turn them on manually, but also we're just going to have more coverage for the radiator, and this should work, I mean, better. The old one worked fine, but this should be better. All right, we are fully assembled, at least hardware-wise. They include with the kit these zip tie dealies that go through the radiator. I could have made them work, but instead I installed some riv nuts and put in some stainless fasteners. So both of the fans are on here. Little flapper doodles, flappy boys are all installed. So next step, we're going to start setting up the wiring, getting the relays. I may mount the relays directly to the shroud. I'm not sure yet. We'll do all that, get that figured out, get it mounted to the radiator, and then get it in the car and start to do the finished wiring. Figured I might as well show the back too. So here's the back with everything installed. You can see the rubber bits for the flappy boys. Oh, focus. They pass through there. So there are my riv nuts. Everything's been Loctited, and all the riv nuts are below the surface of the flange, so nothing should touch the radiator. I think we'll be in business. So I took the cardboard off the radiator, and look how pretty this is. Unfortunately, this is the side that's going to get covered by the shroud, but good on you, Speedway Motors. It's purple, and it's neat. Here, let's do this as a fancy YouTube shot. Pretend that I am overdubbing what I'm about to say. And there's the shroud, all installed. It's attached with self-tappers, but I don't think I drilled through the radiator. Okay, so there we are, sitting in the car. Tons of room to the front of the motor. I'm really psyched about how this fits, and it covers everything real nice. My problem last time, let me switch to this side. My problem at Nationals was this whole thing was leaned back too far, and the metal down there and the metal up here cut into the radiator. So to alleviate that, I got these new brackets. The problem is they're just generic brackets. They don't quite work the way I need them to, but I think we're gonna take a little field trip to Larry's and see if we can fix that. All right, so I'm back in my cold garage. I know I promised that we would visit Larry's, and actually I did visit Larry's. I just didn't film anything. We didn't do any welding. we thought of a different solution for mounting up the radiator. So let me show you what I've got and what we're working with. So this piece of aluminum here is a radiator cover slash holder upper, that's the official name, thing that I made a while back. There's a closeout panel that goes here, it's missing, but I made this. It's very similar to the factory piece, but the way the factory piece worked doesn't work for holding our radiator in place. So what happened was it stopped the radiator from going that way, which was great, but it didn't prevent the radiator from leaning forward. We don't want to do that again, so we need to come up with a new solution. Let me get this thing out of the way, and I'll show you what we came up with. All right, here's our radiator panel. So you see I put some blue tape on this is just so I could start to mark things out ahead of time, make sure they would work. What we're gonna do is we're gonna drill 2 holes, one over here, one equally spaced to the other side. Those 2 holes are gonna have a 1/4 bolt, probably like a hex top or button head, that will go through this with a washer. They're gonna go through and they're gonna connect to this. The way we're going to connect it is we're going to drill a hole in here, then we're going to put in a nutsert into it, but we're not going to do it the normal way. Usually, you look at these things, we drill a hole in here and we put the nutsert in from the top. Because we have limited depth, what we're going to do is take the nutsert and install it from the bottom here, so that'll be nice and flush, give us plenty of room, no issues with it interfering with the radiator. The bolt will come down through, and what will make the distance between these two, because this piece sat up from where this needs to be. And one of my favorite things to use everywhere, I got these all over the car. These are energy suspension sway bar bushings for a traditional style sway bar. Actually use these for muffler mounts and all sorts of other stuff, but that's gonna go right there. Funny enough, the 1/4 fits perfect inside of there. So that's gonna go on there, take up the space. It will give us some compression down on the radiator. This combined with the foam will cushion everything out, and we should be good to go. Sorry, didn't mean to bump you. Okay, so we got our brackets roughly where they're gonna be. You'll see why I mean roughly in a second. We're gonna take our cover, kind of put it in place. Right about where it needs to be. So around there. And then we're gonna take this guy. If you haven't used one of these, Adam Savage from Mythbusters and Tested turned me onto these things. It's one of my favorite named markers. This is a deep hole marker, and if I pull it out, you can see it's a very small thin point here, so I can go way down into spots and mark things. These are awesome. I did a bad job describing them. Get some. Anyway, let's mark this out, drill some holes, and we'll mount everything up. So let's take a look at how this goes together. So we have our bracket. There's the nutsert that I put in kind of upside down. I know it feels weird. But we take one of these bushings, it registers over that. That's awesome. That's going to go under this piece here, and then one of these fasteners with a washer on it's going to go through, and we'll have it all set. All right, here we are. We're bolted in from the top, and if I flip this over, you can see we have our new saddles there in place. Let's put it on the car and see how it lines up. Lean the radiator forward a little bit and slip the saddles over. All right, slide that on. Just put one bolt in it for now. All right, that's one bolt in, and yeah, I think that's going to work pretty well. All right, we're going to be running several relays for this setup. 2 specifically for the fan. There's a third one that's related to the fan, but we'll talk about it in a minute. But I whipped up a quick little bracket. Now you see there's 5 spots. 2 for the fan, the one I just talked about. We're going to have an extra spot in case we have to add a relay later. And then where I'm going to mount this, I also have the relay for the fuel pump for the Holley Sniper. So kind of want to just clean things up. That right now is just into the firewall with a self-tapping screw. So we'll add that to this little bracket I made up out of some aluminum and we'll be good to go. All right, here are the 3 relays for the fan mounted. I did a bit of an Adam Savage and I made my tolerances a little too tight. There's no gap between these. And in fact, I'm kind of cheating it with these washers to move things over. I just need new screws and it'll work. But next time, give yourself more breathing room. So what we have are 3 relays total. The first 2 are for each fan. So we're running dual fans. So this third relay is so I can flip a switch on the dashboard and have the fans come on. So the reason I need a relay for that is the switch for the fan in my dash sends a positive 12-volt signal. And the way these fans work is, and the way these relays and everything's wired up, the way the Holley's going to control it, is it uses a ground signal. So basically, I'm going to use this relay to flip the positive to a negative. So in other words, when I turn on the switch in the dash, it's going to send 12 volts to this relay. The relay is going to switch, and that's going to send a ground signal off to the fans so I can turn them on manually. Quick update. We moved some stuff around, so here are our 2 fan relays. An astute observer will realize that those are different relays. I have these guys in there that came with the Speedway kit, except I broke the tab off of one, and that sucked. So they're both good. I'll keep them around as spares. But so we've got our 2 fan relays. Here's our relay to trigger the fans on and off from the dash. And then this is the relay from the Holley for the fuel pump. So it all fits on here real nice. I made a spot for it where it's going to mount it up in the car. You'll see that in a minute. But let's get to wiring. So just a quick note, I did add just a piece of angle iron that I riveted, well, angle aluminum, that I riveted to this to support the relays when they're in place. So I don't snap them off like I did the other one. So slight mod to that. So let's keep moving. So the mess on my table continues to grow, but that means successful project, right? This is what I'm affectionately calling kind of like the relay module. I've now tried to do the heat shrinking, labeling, you know, trying to do a good job with all this stuff. This one, the trigger for the ECU fan, you can see it goes out kind of around and back behind everything. Well, that's because I screwed up and I made it go out the wrong side. So it's long enough, we'll be good. This is going to hook up to trigger things. We've got a ground here, and I've been busy over there cleaning up the harness. So let's kind of put things in place and see what we've got. I think I have this thing finally wired up. So let me show you what I did, and then we'll try everything out. And just in case, got my friend here. So let's take a look at the relay block. You should be familiar with this now. Got that all installed, loomed all the wires, got things routed. So what happens is power comes up from down there. It hits this little distribution block. Might be a little, ooh, let me get my pointy thing. All right, way better. Now you don't need my fat hand in the way. So we've got our relay block up here. We've got a distribution block for power right there. It comes up, power comes up, hits that, splits off. There's a fuse there to protect everything. Splits off into my relays. That all runs down the roll cage tubing, picks up some grounds down here, comes up. I'm a little premature on the zip ties, but then goes into some weather packs here to power the fans up. So let's put some power to this and hope that it doesn't catch fire. All right, so let's do this in stages. Let's throw the battery breaker on. Nothing bad yet. We'll give it a moment. Before we do anything else, we'll unplug our fuel pump relay, just because there's no fuel in the tank anyway. We don't need to beat up on the pump. So there, fuel pump relays out. Let's turn on the main power. Looks like my light bulb fell out, so I have to fix that, but that's okay. That's a good start. And let's test first the switch for the fans. So if I throw this, it should work. Look at that. Fans are working. Lights on, so manual trigger good. Let's go ahead and shut this off for a second, and we'll set up the ECU. So the cool part is we can test this setup without even starting the car. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn on the ECU, and hopefully that all goes like it should. So now what we wanna do is get back here, and we want to go to home, tuning, system, outputs, and we've got fan 1, fan 2. For the moment, I'm gonna tell it to shut off 18 degrees, whatever, doesn't matter. And I'm going to tell it to turn on at 24 degrees because it's cold out right now. So let's hit save, and nothing. All right, so I found it. Previously, the software, I had shut off the fan. So you see how that has a checkbox to it, but that one doesn't? Well, they didn't have checkbox before. So now I've got it in to turn on at 45 degrees and off at 30 degrees just as a test. And if I turn on the ignition, we have fans. So let me shut things off, and let's try to do it the other way I showed you. So let's try this again. Let's power everything up. Ignition's on, Holley's on. You notice the fans are not on at the moment. So we're gonna go back into tuning, system, outputs, fan temperature. So we're gonna say off. We're gonna shut it off at 10 degrees, 11 degrees. And now we're going to turn it on. 35 degrees. Hit save. And our fans kick on. So now we can just come back in here. Put this back up to 190. Good enough. Bring this up to 180. Save it. Oh. Okay, it didn't like that. So anyway, don't mess with fan 2, even though we don't have a fan 2. So yeah, I guess that works. That's awesome. Fans are now wired in. Holley's going to control them. I think it's going to cool the engine just fine. They're the same CFM as the old fan 3000. Should be great. Holley can control it. I can manually trigger them. I think we're in business. So that's going to close out this, I don't know, episode. We're going to do some more stuff related to cooling in the next one. Waiting on something to show up for that, but it's going to be, well, really cool. So sorry about that. Anyway, thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you soon.